Elijah says, sad day for Jacob haters. Guess I'll have to vote blue harder next election. Um, I couldn't sleep. I went to sleep very late. And then Happy woke me up at 6 a.m. And then I couldn't go back to sleep. I have tons of stuff I should be doing, but yeah, I wanted to. I mean, I was hoping Luke or somebody else had started a stream, but if somebody else started a stream, I haven't seen it, and I was hoping um, people in the corner wanted to talk. Uh, Daily Wire is live. Sargon of Akkad is live. Let's see. Jonathan Pajot is broadcasting. What is Jonathan Pajot broadcasting? Oh, it's the premiere of Father Stephen's thing right now. Ooh, is it right now? Yeah, it's premiering right now. Ha! I see Cassandra's commenting there. I mean, I guess I could actually be watching that from the. That can wait. Especially since I'm gonna want to listen to it at 1.5 speed. Hello, John. Let's see. Oh, is Chad? Chad? No, that was yesterday. Chad was not broadcasting either. Um, yeah, I mean, if nobody wants to talk, um, hey, Peter Penrose Buck, you're, whatchamacallit, you're, Christian's friend, right? Um, Sartori, maybe jumping on. That'll be good. Uh, yeah, just gloating. uh, uh, so, I mean, I have my tweet. Uh, what happened to my tweet? Mm, I got to say, I told you so, um, which is always the best form of gloating. If I can. Let's see. Hey, Raj. Yes. We are the champions, my friends. That is as much singing as you're ever going to get out of me. Um, if someone wants to clip that, feel free. Uh, so, me doing a little bit of gloating, I would just like to say, I told you so. So, on Monday after Rogan endorsed Trump, I went. Um, this this election is not going to be close. Trump is going to win the popular vote. If I am wrong about this, then I need to reassess how I model the political landscape. And I did call it. I did, in fact, call it. Um, John, I almost called this something like listening to the lamentations of their women. Um, the Atlantic has gone full insanity. So, uh, somebody, I mean, this is a tiny account. Well, 3,000 followers. So, but this is what y'all voted for, by the way. Um, the Trump Vance Project 2025 plan, and it has a bunch of stuff. And I retweeted it. Let's go. Good. What did I mean? Good. Hold them to it, not good them to it. Sorry. But yeah, the Atlantic has absolutely lost its mind. Um, Trump's victory is a grim day for the United States and for democracies around the world. You have every right to be appalled, saddened, shocked, and frightened. Soon, however, you should dust yourself off, square your shoulders, and take a deep breath. Americans who care about democracy have work to do. Um, hello, Harris hasn't even conceded the election yet. So, yeah. Uh, Michael is listening to some other person instead of listening to my thingy. Oh wow, there's really 9 people listening on X. That's shocking. That's what it says. Uh, or at least that Kamala isn't in office. Yeah. Um, what to make of the 20 million fewer votes from 2020? That's not so shocking, honestly. I know there's a lot of people making a thing about it. That was a vote deliberately held during COVID. There was a lot more enthusiasm. Um, I'm not. Um, uh, there's a lot of people who are going to be talking about it. I don't imagine that's actually going to be a story. Um, look, Kamala Harris. This is a win for democracy. Kamala Harris deliberately engineered not having a primary. Hopefully, the lesson everyone will take out of that is you should have an effing primary. Like, what do you expect when you nominate someone after the first presidential debate and then hide her away? Anybody with 2 brain cells should know clearly that not going on Joe Rogan was a huge mistake. I can't wait to see more analysis of the demographics. Apparently, the Hispanic vote was very pro-Trump. I don't know anyone who hates illegal immigration more than legal immigrants, myself included. It is insulting that the Democrats lump us together with criminals. I, my mom, my sister, and I lived for 6 months off the money my mom had in Turkey, with in a tiny hotel room, not knowing what would become of us as we waited just for our application to be processed as refugees. And then after that, we still had to wait 2 more months. Thank God we were then refugees, officially refugees, and didn't have to worry about like how we were going to eat the next 2 months. But it took us 8 months to get legally be accepted as refugees into the United States. Do you realize how somebody on Facebook 8 years ago said to me, the only way to apply for asylum to the United States is to arrive here illegally? I am still like, that sticks out as one of the most insulting things anybody has said to me. Like, how dare you? How dare you? And so let's see what the crosstabs are like. But it's not so shocking that it wasn't that that big. Okay, I am going to try playing this video because it's and hopefully I will not get a copyright strike for it.
Excited to announce our Black Friday sale. So if you've been thinking about purchasing or upgrading,
hello everyone.
Okay.
Welcome to What Even Is This? Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's laugh at some batshit crazy people together.
I just came off the Young Turks show where I lit into the Democratic Party. Bunch of losers, corporate Democrats. I hate them. They've cost us election after election. They're corrupt. And they...
I mean, I don't call this a meltdown. Welcome, Cenk. Please destroy the Democratic Party. Please destroy the Democratic Party. I do not want to live in a one-party state. Anybody who needs to understand better what exactly. I have for years heard people on the left say that the problem is that we don't have a left-wing party. I didn't believe that. When I got this book, I couldn't put it down. I read it 24 hours straight. And Tucker Carlson convinced me that the problem we have is that we don't have a left-wing party. We don't have a left-wing party. So destroy the Democratic Party so we can have two parties again. And frankly, Trump has destroyed the Republican Party. So eventually we can have two parties again. I don't want to live in a one-party state. It would be very nice to have the Democratic Party that's actually not visibly corrupt the way the Democrats are. So welcome, Cenk. Yeah, welcome. Yeah.
Lost, it looks like, to a syphilitic clown.
Okay, shut up.
Total moron, con man, Donald Trump.
Trump is not he's not a moron. As far as con man, okay, I mean, if you have to signal this to Cenk, which I guess you do, fine. Like, signal to the left. But he's our first WWE president. I hope eventually we will move past the populism. At Estuary last night, that's actually a lot of what we were talking about, how we need to move past populism. But yeah.
Trump. So if you lose to a buffoon like Donald Trump twice, what does that make you?
We still have an electorate, 70 million plus, that will be voting for a man who said he was going to assassinate for treason the chairman of the Joint Chiefs because he didn't.
Oh, God. Why do we have such idiots? Honestly, it's not even worth listening to these people anymore. Like, I mourn a little bit the Atlantic having lost its mind. It used to be worthwhile, and it's an institution I hope to be eventually redeemed. I hope somebody buys it, gets rid of what's the name of the editor, Jeffrey Goldberg, cleans house, makes an ancient by American standards, a magazine that's been going for 180 years. Like, I hate to see it die. MSNBC, well, they're not going to die. This is the best thing that could happen for MSNBC. This is what's going to actually, this is the best thing for them. And Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, by the way, if you need to know why she's such a warmonger, look up her father. Yeah.
Supporting on January the 6th, who said just in the recent Liz Cheney with a
we already voted for him. You don't have to sell us.
Firing squad, 9 guns pointed and shooting at her face. A man who has said that he was going to shut down CBS because he didn't like how they edited it in there.
I would like to see an FCC investigation into CBS. I would, and this was part of what I was talking with Chezi about last night. If you are going to rest on your laurels, what I really like is Tripp already is strategizing for how the pro-life people are going to learn new lessons. Dude, if don't fumble the ball at the 5-yard line. Don't fumble the ball at the 5-yard line. The people like Joe, whatever his name is, Scarborough, are the reason we need to raise their cities and salt their fields. Yeah. When they cry uncle, right? Like, they're still doing the fascist thing. They're still doing that. Oh, you're fascists, right? If you believed that we were actually fascists, rather than calling us fascists, you would be genuinely scared. But they're not genuinely scared. Obviously, Scarborough is not genuinely scared, because here he is telling a bunch of stupid lies on MSNBC, and NBC does in fact have FCC licenses, which should be taken away because of this bullshit. So yeah, until they cry uncle, no mercy, no mercy, no mercy. Okay, Jacob fantasy time. Clarence Thomas retires and gets nominated Attorney General. Oh my God, Attorney General Clarence Thomas. Can you imagine? My second choice is DeSantis. Third choice is Ted Cruz. But it looks like it probably, like, Ted Cruz is the one that's realistic. DeSantis as Attorney General, he would salt the fields. He would salt the fields. Yeah. Let me see what people are saying in the comments before I go too far. Trump did an acceptance speech yet? Yeah, he did that last night early. Trump wins in decisive victory. America more divided than ever. Those two thoughts don't follow. Even their past ones were jokes. Quit coordinating these empty suits. We know that, but half the country does not, and the media hasn't humbled themselves but doubled down. So that makes the 20 million voters who sat home interesting. What are they listening to? Yeah. Hey, Clara, you should jump on, Clara. Did we have a fair election? I said yesterday, we have already not had a fair election. Whether or not an election is fair, it does not depend on who won. I am glad that Trump was able to swamp the vote. I am glad that we were able to get a clear, decisive victory. This should not have been a close. This should not have even been a possible. Like, why did millions of Americans vote for somebody who was not known by anybody? Kamala Harris was. Who was Kamala Harris? That's not a fair election. There was not a fair election. And I am glad that the results of not having a fair election was that the cheaters lost. But if you cannot recognize the fact that this country was cheated out of a major part of our elections, which is the primaries, I don't understand what you're doing here. Yeah. Wait, I wanted to see the Black Friday sales. Sorry, I don't use the ad blockers. People be losing their marbles. Congratulations to the Trump fans in here. I voted for Jill Stein. From your point of view, what does this Donald Trump victory mean for the Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Iran conflict? Okay, so I actually speak Farsi. After Soleimani was killed by Trump, which was an absolute game changer. I listened to Khamenei's next speech in Farsi, and I can't say everyone would agree with me. It was the tone of his voice that spoke to me. He was screaming out, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. That's what I heard. Biden would never green light assassinating Khamenei. Donald Trump would green light assassinating Khamenei, or at least Khamenei worries that he would. And when Putin attacked Ukraine, I was so upset at Greg Horowitz. I was incredibly upset at Greg Horowitz because and everyone who helped Joe Biden win, because you could see our international weakness causing so many deaths, and it did. October 7th would not have happened under Donald Trump. Ukraine would not have been invaded under Donald Trump. The Houthis would not have attacked under Donald Trump. Projecting weakness is how your enemies feel emboldened. That's what this means for Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, Iran conflict. And I can only hope that I would say obvious backlash. I mean, Trump won Michigan. The obvious backlash to the pro-Hamas demonstrations in academia, they can you imagine Stefanik being Secretary of Education? Oh, that would be glorious. That would be glorious. Oh my God. Stefanik for Secretary of Education. Mark says, no, it was not a fair election, but the Democrats lost anyhow, so we are safe from corruption. Yep, correct, Mark. Can't confirm. Mark is correct. The book is Tucker Carlson, Ship of Fools. I completely agree. We don't have a left-wing party. We have a duopoly uni party for the establishment that has consolidated into the Democratic Party. Yeah, I mean, take a look. I mean, Liz Cheney and Kamala Harris were I mean, campaigning together. Liz Cheney and Kamala Harris were campaigning together. Liz Cheney and Kamala Harris were campaigning together. What do I need to say? Trump is still a moderate left-leaning Clinton Democrat who disagrees with Bill Clinton and China and trade. Yeah. Trump is to the left of Bill Clinton. Trump is to the left of Bill Clinton. And apparently the exit polls said the same thing. Pseudo-intellectuals need power to correlate with intellect so they can feel victimized when it doesn't work for you. Not sure what you're saying. They aren't stupid. They are delusional. They live in their heads, fantasy over observation. I have videos on this. You might want to check out David Fromm's Twitter account. It's been hilarious. Questioning fairness will never help in any way. Acting on whether you feel the vote was unfair in a peaceful way is the only practical way, Clara. I mean, her job is to document what's going on in this corner. Amen. A glorious day. Let's get a real two-party back and pray the corruption starts to drain out of the government. Trump was never the villain he was painted to be. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Just one thing, Clara and Adam. I hope you don't mind me saying this. Adam speaks English, I believe, as a third or fourth language. So please, and while his grammar is pretty perfect, be careful because sometimes he misses nuance. Adam's first language is actually Arabic. He's one of our Muslim brethren here. Well, kind of Muslim brethren here. Maybe they'll look at the poll data and figure out that abortion has been never been popular in the United States, while government is not telling people what to do. Yeah. Clara, I know people who are scared. Yeah, there are people who are scared. And once we destroy the Democratic Party and the lying media, people will hopefully not be scared for no good reason. This is one of the things, I mean, the amount of damage that the Democratic lies and fear mongering has done to the emotional health of so many people is just one of the reasons that I deeply detest these people. Yeah, there are many people who are scared, some of whom I have zero sympathy for because they should be smarter than this. And my hope is they will wake up from their delusional fear. Other people who I cannot expect, who don't have the mental capacity to be smarter than this. And for those people, I hold people like Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough accountable. And that's like, if Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski lose their jobs and become washed up, my response will be learn to code, because they are responsible for this fear. They are responsible for this fear, and they should be. In fact, I would, if there is justice in this world, then they will be homeless. And but Golenu Hashem Tzvakot, if not in this world, then then in the next world, I expect them to get their just desserts for the evil that they do. I know people who are scared every day of their lives. Nothing to be done. You cannot make people unscared. You can help people be less scared. But yeah, just because someone's scared doesn't mean that their fears match reality. And yeah, Jan God, I mean, honestly, it's hard to feel any sympathy for such horrible people as the Democrats. There are a certain number of Democrats who are not deplorables. Those are not the highly educated, affluent people. The highly educated, affluent Democrats who, with their luxury beliefs, are delusional people who deserve to have their delusions shattered. And I would love to see a bunch of them crying. because that's what they deserve. Because they have zero sympathy for the truly downtrodden, the truly the people who they are victimizing. And so, yeah. Most of my relatives are quaking in their boots, probably. I mean, I'm sorry about that. The ones who should be too smart for that, I'm sorry that they're horrible people. And the people who don't have the intelligence to recognize what's being done to them, I feel they're victims. The mental illness shall be very observable now. It's great. By the way, if you did not listen to Anna Kasparian on Chris Williamson, she admits that she stopped being such a crazy left-wing nut when she started getting therapy, which I'm very glad she did. Saw a tweet, Dems shocked to learn women buy milk and eggs more often than they get abortions. Right, Mandy. Very correct. Least popular vice president in history. Shocking she got any votes. Well, no, because the entire establishment was behind it. Her if they print votes now, it's going to be very unpalatable. Clara, I would love for you to jump on. I promise I will be just as nice as when I destroyed you with facts and logic last time. The real question is, does America get a concession speech from Kamala today? Yeah. I expect it to be much like Hillary Clinton's, underwhelming and filled with contempt and immediately retracted minutes later. I understand that Ivanka and Jared are no longer part of the team. I would be very surprised if Jared was not deeply involved in the Israel stuff. He actually has been a little bit more publicly active than before. And I see him possibly deciding to run in New York. The vote in New Jersey was actually a lot closer than it has been before. I mean, she still won by 5%. But yeah, the Jewish vote, New York was there's a reason why the popular vote was even more resounding than the electoral vote. I'm very happy about the popular vote. Very happy about the popular vote. Because like even let's see, election results, New York. So with 97% reporting, she got 50, let's say 56% of the vote. I'm rounding up for her, and he got 44%. So that's a 12-point difference. Let me see. New York in 2020. Biden won by 23 points. So he cut into her advantage in New York State by 12 percentage points. Clara!
Hi. I really only have
Hello.
a few minutes. I just wanted to pop in and say hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. Getting my early morning workout on. How about you?
I am so happy. I am so happy. I am so incredibly happy. I tried when I tweeted out that we were gonna that he was going to win the popular vote. Like, I was going out on a ledge, but I believe that you want to test your model,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you're not making predictions, you're not being scientific, right?
It's true. Gotta make some predictions.
And so made a prediction, and here we are. It is a new day. Uncle Joe, Uncle Joe being Joe Rogan, has delivered for our community.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yeah.
So you're happy. This is what a happy Jacob looks like.
Well, I mean, I am not as happy as, for example, when people send me baby pictures.
Mm.
The baby pictures are what keep me going with this community. I am flying out tonight for a wedding to somebody in this little corner, or the Jordan Peterson sphere. And like, that's awesome. So, I mean, important things first, but once every 4 years, we can hope that broader society will eventually turn towards our little cult, and we will eventually see Constantine. And Trump is Constantine. Trump is Constantine.
Okay. Yeah. I just I was really, I saw you a little bit. I think I caught a little bit of Christian Baxter's stream. I saw you on there for a minute.
And I streamed again last night. I didn't sleep last night.
Streaming the whole time.
But not the entire time. But yeah, I mean, this is the most streaming I've done in a while.
Yeah. You know, there's a like probably pretty big subset of like people in my field who would be like, oh my God, how did this happen? How did this, like, people be just caught so much by surprise by this. You really don't seem surprised at all.
No, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, this is something that I have. I think so. I mean, I've told you my background before, but like, you know, I was a political science major undergrad. And public relations was in the School of Journalism, and I worked at the Los Angeles Daily News, and you know, every time I see people like Joe Scarborough, it just makes me mad because he's lying through his teeth. He should have known. Like, it's not like what bothers me is our intellectuals are idiots. The institutions are corrupt. That's actually one of the things we talked about in Estuary last night, right?
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that your Estuary met last night even.
Well, I mean, it wasn't my choice. It was just my rec room, so I had to be there. I'm not sure I would have gone if it wasn't being held at my place. But I do want to answer this question you asked. I'm wondering whether there's a legitimate reason for people to be afraid, or is it just a sign of bad mental health if people are afraid? Different people are afraid for different reasons. Some people are afraid because they don't have the intellectual capacity to see through the lies that we've been fed.
Yeah.
I feel sympathy for those people.
Yeah.
There are other people who have the intellectual capacity to see through the lies. They should see through the lies. They refuse to see through the lies. They have continued to refuse to see the lies for the past 12 years. And I feel zero sympathy. Zero sympathy.
Can I like ask though, like there's some people who think like, oh, this is like a reason, and I don't want to ignore Michael. Hi, Michael. But I do want to ask. I want to ask, is there like I'm thinking of people who are like afraid of violence, like people who like
No, the Democrats have not actually. They're not rioting. They're not doing any of their normal stuff.
Oh, okay. So like, yeah, no. And what I mean, and I see what you're saying. Like Democrats, there's like this history in Seattle is a particular example.
Clara, I believe January 6th was orchestrated by, and so this is what I mean when I say, like, for me, the Elon Musk and Joe Rogan conversation were important because they live in the same reality I do, where January 6th was cooked up by the Democrats.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like,
I realize that's not what most people think, but that's because
like,
most people don't live in the same reality I do.
Yes. I think that's really crucial. That's what you're saying there. The other thing that I'm wondering though is like there are people who are worried about like, oh, if I'm somebody who is of Hispanic origin or something like that, and like the National Guard is, working on immigration, and like
no. The Hispanic community, a majority of my clients don't speak English, and the vast majority of those are Spanish speaking.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually know the Hispanic community. You live in a world where there were people who thought Latinx is not offensive. But when you talk to actual Hispanic people, not the Karen version of Hispanic people.
I got you. Real people.
They hate being called Latinx.
Sure they do.
And they hate illegal immigration. I don't know if you heard my little rant about illegal immigration and legal immigration being conflated.
Yeah, I think I've seen that before. Yeah.
I've ranted about it more than once. There's nothing as offensive, and there's no racist so the media narrative is that Hispanics were offended by a comedian making a joke about garbage on Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
When the truth is the Hispanic population, and I know the Hispanic population better than anybody who's ever used the term Latinx.
Sure.
I mean, frankly, I would be totally for searching out everyone who's ever used the term Latinx and canceling them for racism. I want to see every single professor who's ever used the term Latinx be branded a racist and stripped of tenure. Okay?
Okay.
And in a similar manner, anybody who is pushing this line that legal Hispanic, that's not a thing, that they're afraid of being deported. The only people who are afraid of being deported are silly white women who are very rich and drink too much wine, and people who are here illegally.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm just asking the questions, and you're answering them. So
I am. You know me.
Yeah. No, I really do have to head out, but and I see Michael's here. So peace, y'all. I hope you enjoy your moment here, moment in the sun. I'm sorry to leave before I hear from Michael, but
the video will be here.
Okay. All right. Michael's gonna say some really great stuff. Okay. See you.
Bye, Claire.
Hello, Jacob.
Hello, Michael. How is it being a vindicated working class man who listens to NPR?
Well, I haven't listened to NPR in like 6 years, so I mean, I
I
don't know.
listened to NPR last week. I was shaking with anger that my tax money was going to that bullshit.
I thought about I didn't actually think about tuning in, but I did think about the fact that I I remember usually they have a whole thing where it's like on election day they will not talk about politics or like, and I was like, I wonder if they're making an exception this year. I bet they did, honestly, but I don't know. Somebody could prove that's something that could be known and somebody could inform us about. But yeah. It's it's an interesting thing. I think I don't know. You probably did. You see the video that I made yesterday? I said a lot of the same stuff that I kind of said in the live stream with Christian. But
Yeah, I think I did. I'm pretty sure. I watched a video of yours recently where you were saying a lot of the same stuff I've heard you say before, and that's the type of stuff I never remember. Hey, Ron, how you doing?
Hey, Jacob, how's it going? I'm at
Good.
work, but I can talk. Can you
Cool.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, I'm taking out the garlands for the university, and we're a professional fluffer today. So sad. So, congratulations on the victory.
We are the champions, my friends.
So, I got a question for you.
Yes.
What tragedies did we avoid, and what opportunities, reasonable opportunities, do you think are in front of us?
Okay, what tragedies did we avoid?
Yeah.
I think that a Kamala Harris win would have emboldened the people who think that they can avoid democracy. That would have been a serious threat to our democracy. The immigration situation, the open borders policies would have continued. That would have been a
Right.
disaster. The weak foreign policy would have emboldened Putin and China and Ayatollah Khamenei and probably other people. So I definitely think there were disasters that were avoided. But what is even better is that the coalition of Lynn Cheney and Kamala Harris has been shown to be not viable. And I don't know what the Trump administration will bring. I am afraid that this victory is going to make people complacent.
What do you
Uh,
mean?
People might, I mean, already people are talking about, oh, we won, so let's extend you know uh,
An
let
olive branch?
yeah, an olive branch, that type of thing. Obviously, you kind of sort of will gesture towards that, but the lessons have not been learned. People uh, have not accepted that that how they behaved was completely unacceptable to the American people, and there needs to be a reckoning. There
What
needs
would that look like? Without having a MacArthur, without having a lynch mob, what would that look like in a
uh,
reasonable way?
prosecutions, the Justice Department going after people who weaponized, who went after Donald Trump with lawfare. I would love to see a Justice Department under Donald Trump prosecuting the California Coastal Commission for their blatant conspiracy to deprive Elon Musk of his constitutional rights. That was as blatant as of an illegal use of state power as I have ever seen in my life, and it is completely within the legal framework for members of that coastal commission to be prosecuted under a felony. There's a federal crime of depriving a citizen of their constitutional rights under the color of law, and I would I would love to see prison sentences. That would
Okay,
that that would be beautiful.
so what do you think will happen?
I don't think any of that will happen. There's the bureaucracy is like
Right.
yeah, the deep state is way too entrenched. Um, we're not going to see, for example, Donald Trump talked about CBS losing, the FCC doing an investigation into CBS, making you know, that's the type of thing that, frankly, if we had like it was, yeah. Sorry, Ron, your mic is kind of loud.
Oh,
So when you're not
hold on, I can fix that. Yeah,
oh,
I'll fix that.
yeah, if you're when you're not talking, if you can mute yourself, that would help a lot. Um, um, but cool, thank you. The So I mean, these are things I don't actually see happening. My hopes, my hope, most hopeful, at my most hopeful, I think it's possible Ron DeSantis will in fact be nominated as Attorney General. Ron DeSantis in Florida has been carrying out a very good campaign of denazification. Um, if he had the Justice Department, I think he might be able to carry that forward. I know Peter Thiel is working in the background with JD Vance. They may be, they may put into place executive orders, but executive orders only last as long as the president. Project 2025, for all the stupidity of its almost sabotaging the campaign, some of the things that preparations that they made, despite the fact they should have dressed it up better than they did, might actually be competent and capable of going forward. The idea that Elon Musk will be actually trying to create efficiencies the same way as he has in large companies that he has led. If we can, in any way, reform the federal government, that would be beautiful. I don't know what RFK Jr. is hoping to do. Tulsi Gabbard is a very smart operator. I don't see her being Secretary of Defense. That would be awesome. Tulsi Gabbard, Secretary of Defense, would possibly move us way forward. I'm guessing Rick Grinnell is possibly going to be either go back to being the Director of National Intelligence, or maybe even Secretary of State. Rick Grinnell is somebody that I think is very competent. It depends on personnel. And in 2016, when Trump went in, it was just Trump. He didn't have people who knew how the government worked. Now he has a lot more experience. He has the Republican Party behind him. And I think they're going to be competent.
I got a question, if I may. The emergency executive powers, when will they stop, and when do you think they should stop?
I'm not sure. The what executive powers?
The emergency executive powers that were in place for COVID.
Right. Look, we've been in a state of supposed kind of emergency since the Patriot Act, back in, the for all the talk of norms. I mean, one of Bill, the billionaire, Atkins or whatever his name is, he tweeted out last night, "At least Peanut did not die in vain. Rest in peace." Um, that's the type of thing that it's going to require a social. It's going to require a social backlash. The FBI has lost a lot of credibility. Law enforcement in general. I would like to see a pardon for not Julian Assange. What's the name of the guy in Russia? I forget his name.
Snowden.
Snowden, yes. I would like to see a pardon for Snowden. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. There's definitely, like, I mean, it really depends on who the personnel are at Justice, at the FBI, at the CIA, at Homeland Security, and it's not obvious that, like, I don't think we're going to get a repeal of the Patriot Act. I don't think we're going to have
Can I do
yeah.
Can I do a follow up? My other question is: there seems to be extensive evidence that the vaccine has caused injuries,
Yeah.
and that what I guess instead of saying what should be, well, I guess what should be done, what probably will be done, and I think a major crime has been committed that they got away with.
Yeah, so what should be done is completely different from what will be done. What should be done would be an actual accounting of the quality adjusted life years. And I mean, I had a discussion with Sam Titteman years ago about this, which I mean, I think still applies in full force. I don't think I don't think any of that is going anywhere. I do think that that Jay Bhattacharya being, if Jay Bhattacharya and people like him are accepted into the Trump administration, I would love to see Jay Bhattacharya. I keep on going back to names of individuals because ultimately it's about staff who will full-time work on these things in Washington and be overseeing the bureaucracy and the agencies And it's not about the car, it's about who's driving the car. Yes, the car matters, but ultimately it's about who's driving the car. And as President Trump says, I'm curious to see if anything will actually change. Look, if you're not expecting the deep state to fight back, you're not paying attention.
So what
I
would they
think
do?
I think the important, like the concrete, most important thing that you can say is that it does create like a vibe change or whatever, and that is important, I think, because I could say, if things had gone the other way, I think especially like for men, for young men, the way that the parties, well, really the Democratic Party has caused the polarization between sexes, driving up like the fear, increasing women's fear of men, and I think that the fact that men showed up to vote, which is kind of the thing, was like, what will happen? That's what I was saying yesterday. But the fact that men showed up to vote shows that they have some kind of a hope for the future under this change. And whether or not like Trump and his team like actually do like amazing things, like I think they will definitely do stuff that will help the economy to grow more, and all those kind of things. Things that make people money are always easier to get get taken care of. I'm a little, my worry is a little bit about the complacency that people will just sit back and like enjoy the good times. I think that the best thing is to build on the confidence and figure out a better path forward for the young men who will take over. Like the fact that JD Vance is my same age, like that's a big deal. Like, because that speaks to my generation. Like, oh, we can accomplish things. But I think, yeah, just on the vibes alone, it would have been devastating if it went the other way. Now there's a good opportunity. It's up to like regular people to somewhat capitalize on it in good ways.
I would actually be really interested to see how Tesla stock is doing in trading today. Let's see. Tesla stock is up 13% today. Not Jordan. Joe Rogan's stock is it really went up. He is now bigger than the New York Times and bigger than like. I don't think there's anybody in Washington who did not understand that. Who did not understand? I talked about Israel earlier on. You might want to go back and listen to that. I don't think there's anybody who's not going to understand that from now on, if you're a candidate for president, you need to be on Joe Rogan. You need to do a 3-hour. Joe Rogan is the new presidential debate. That's
Yeah.
who it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think it's good. I mean, like, I honestly, just the whole thing, I was disgusted just by like how much fear mongering is on the left, especially how, like, what Clara was saying, like there's just this thought that like lots of people are afraid now. Like all that fear was manufactured. It was mostly aimed at women, and it was mostly villainizing men in general, which sucks for 50% of the population. And like it's just it's just horrible. Like those ads that the one where they had all the actors, like, I'm a man, I'm voting for Harris. Like, that one was just kind of hilarious for how stupid it was. But like the other ones, those ones with the guy like sitting in front of the screen and looking at his adult material, and then the Republican congressman comes in. Like, the fact that they think like, oh, like that's what, like the fact that they think like that's really going to affect men, like all men that are in that position know that they're in a place of resignation, and it's a coping mechanism for the fact that they don't know how to achieve a proper adulthood. So nobody's going to vote to remain in that state. It offers men nothing. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, some men are, but those are the same men who aren't going to vote at all. Yeah.
They're pathetic.
President Foxman says, at my wife's work, people are crying in meetings right now. I feel sorry for the people who simply don't know better. I mean, I think we have to separate out the deplorables from the Democrats who are not deplorable, right? And one of the things last night we started at the estuary, we started talking about, like the fool can't be the king, and we're in a state of inversion, right? Where, there's a time when people call you deplorable and garbage, and you show up with a garbage truck, and you show up with but ultimately the fry cook at McDonald's can't be the president, right? When you're back right side up, where you're going to be back right side up, and people are going to be people who are working at McDonald's are hopefully going to be like, well, this is where I am in the hierarchy, but because the people who are above me in the hierarchy are more competent, they're not idiots, I don't mind that, right? People don't mind being lower in the hierarchy if it's a competence hierarchy. People, in fact, like that. Right? That's why we watch athletes who are good, or even YouTube videos. I'm sure, Michael, if you were to make YouTube videos of you fixing a cabinet and you're doing it well, right? There will be lots of men who will sit there and be like, man, he's got woodworking skills, and be perfectly happy being like, Michael has woodworking skills, I don't have woodworking skills, he's a master carpenter, I'm not, right? People don't mind being lower in a hierarchy if it's a right side up hierarchy. The problem is our intellectuals are idiots, and I was a better pundit on Twitter knowing nothing than all of these people on CNN and MSNBC and ABC and New York Times, and why was I able to predict this yesterday in ways that our intellectuals were not? It's not because I am that smart. I don't think that there's definitely people in this community who are way, way smarter than I am, right? Like, maybe Sam Titteman is smart enough to be on television, but definitely David Frum and Joe Scarborough and all of these idiots, all of these absolute idiots, they're it bothers me that they're dumber than I am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just the dynamics of the whole thing. And this is what I like. Actually, this is something I was thinking about, because you were talking last night about how politics should be more broad than religion, and it should not divide people. And I think the thing is that, you know, okay, so I've been reading this book called Christ and Culture, and it's really interesting because he goes and basically outlines like there's very many different approaches to the way that Christianity has in different sects sought to work as a within culture, in opposition to culture, to guide it, to direct it, you know. And there's so many different approaches, but like there is this core thing that unites all of those different approaches. And you know, like 50 or whatever years ago, 70 years ago, you had, that's what you had with the two parties, is you had two different approaches to how to best serve a group of people that had common interests. And there was things that we had in common, like you know, that you know,
Our
life,
basic
liberty, and the
values.
pursuit of happiness. Yeah,
Yeah.
like those things, and we all basically agreed on what those were. And then I think, you know, you have like all the people like talking about like the post-war consensus. The post-war consensus was like the last gasp of unity that worked for the boomers, and now that's gone. And so but really the thing is that within these two sides, they still say things, but like one side is completely disingenuous in saying that they want things for people, like because the thing is like they want the person making the French fries at McDonald's to always make French fries at McDonald's, because then the only thing he will care about is the minimum wage, and he will consistently vote for the minimum wage to be increased, and he's a predictable like peon in the system. Whereas, you know, you can be a person that works that makes the French fries at McDonald's, and you can eventually become the manager, and then you can save up and invest in franchises and become a real capitalist, and you could be president someday. The path from French fry cook to president actually exists, but you know, but that's like the thing is that it's a one system, you know, knows, okay, if we strengthen the people, then the whole system grows, and the other one desperately needs people to stay dependent on the state for the sake of the state's survival.
Have you heard of Ramanujan?
No,
Ramanujan was a young man in rural Uttar Pradesh, India, who was a brilliant mathematician. Okay. And he worked his way up from like just, I mean, the most humble family in rural India to being one of the most celebrated mathematicians living in the UK. Because the UK had a system of like, wow, this guy's brilliant. Let's recognize that and get him to. He was either at Oxford or Cambridge. Yeah, he was crazy smart. People, unfortunately, he died at a young age. But mathematicians are still, yeah, jinx, Elijah. Mathematicians are still studying his notes to try to figure out the stuff he was thinking about, right? And he made very important advances in mathematics. And when you have a system that can actually recognize, hey, this kid is brilliant, we need to move him up the hierarchy, right? That's when a society prospers. And that's what the SATs were about, right? When the SATs came out, it was like, oh, now a kid in rural Iowa or whatever it is can take an SAT, and then Harvard can see, hey, this kid has a 1500 SAT. Like, he, or if not Harvard, one of the other great schools can accept him, right? And then what happened recently is in California, like the entire university system stopped doing standardized testing in the name of raising up people somehow. It's like, no, meritocracy. We as human beings work best in a meritocracy and we're happiest in a meritocracy partially because meritocracies just benefit everyone, and they really do. Like, and you can tell the difference between a man who watches somebody like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan and sees the magnificence and is like, yeah, and cheers, and the type of man who sees something like that and gets angry or becomes you know like upset or dismissive or has to cut it down, like, and I think that's the spirit you're talking about, right? This spirit of like being unhappy if someone else is capable, right? And it's not a manly spirit. It really isn't.
Yeah. I mean, like, because so like I play guitar, and like I'm decent, I'm pretty good or whatever. I'm most of the time, if I go into in small to medium church, I am like, I could be I could contribute to this team of musicians. I would help them out. I would be an asset. But then, like, there are so many people that like below me, they're just, it's crazy how talented people have gotten. Like the internet is kind of made that thing explode. Like Instagram guitarists and stuff, they are like better than every recording artist of the 20th century in at least in like technical proficiency and stuff. The creative element of it, is a different story. But like, for one thing, I'm not, I appreciate it because I have actually worked hard and learned to play, pretty well. Like, I know how much more difficult what they're doing actually is because I have some level of competency, which, helps me understand it, across other fields too. But like, yeah, it's totally, you should celebrate that stuff. And I mean, the thing is yeah, like in a hierarchy, in a proper hierarchy, and there's not just one, there should be many, many, many hierarchies. You find a place where you are like helping out and you are an asset, and hopefully how to stay there and bring people up to your level instead of always the thing of rising to the level of your competency and then trying to hold on. Like that's the problem with the whole like bureaucratic morass.
Well, I mean, part of the thing is, and I think President Foxman really hits the nail on the head. There's always been this thing of telling your child, hey, you can get to the top if you work hard enough. Well, when the top was you could be the mayor, right? And we lived in a small enough community where, right? But now everybody's looking at president, right? And everybody's looking at NBA. And I mean, first of all, we do have to have many different hierarchies, but we also have to have some degree of realism and saying to our kids that, hey, you know what? If you're the mayor, that's like you've made it, right? Being mayor is not small fry, right? my channel, the fact my channel has 1,000 subscribers is way more than I ever imagined having. And I am grateful for it. Would I like to have 1 million subscribers? Sure. Does that mean that I'm a failure in life, that I have a channel with only 1,000 subscribers? Well, first of all, this channel isn't all I've done in my life. There are other hierarchies I am involved in. But B, hey, Mark says, no, Jacob, you're a failure for other reasons. But hey, like this is a good small fry. I mean, for me, it was so my Tanya discussions, like only a few people listen to them, but if I was the rabbi of a synagogue, I don't think I would get more people at my Bible study classes, etc. Right? David says the same thing about the Bible study he does on my channel on Thursdays. Right? He's like, even like in a normal church, this is respectable, right? So, like, yeah, it's not a huge amount, but like if it was in real life, people would be like, hey, cool, you know? Wow, we got even Ed. Ed is an old-time member of my community, which nobody knows because he never actually comes on the channel and stuff. So yeah, we even got Ed on.
Did you vote? Did you vote yesterday or did you vote earlier?
My ballot is still sitting there. In California, you have 3 days after the election to send it in. I may or may not send it in, but yeah. It's California. As long as the ballot's postmarked within 3 days of the election, you're fine.
It is funny. It is funny though that, like, you know, like all the early voting or whatever, it's like women, and then just like men are just do it.
Not this year.
The whole thing. Well,
not this year. Yeah.
No, well, there was. I think it was more. I think it was still more women.
It was still, but there was a large number of men who voted early. Yeah. Look, I don't actually. I mean, I understand the reason for wanting it to be all on one day. I actually think something like a week-long balloting is fine. I actually would love the Australian system, which is if you fail to vote, they fine you $150. That gets people to vote, which is like it makes for much better results, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But what I really don't like about the mail-in ballots is it totally destroys the secret ballot. What used to be is you go in, you fill out your ballot, nobody sees the ballot before it gets put in the ballot box. And so nobody can coerce you for your vote, nobody can buy your vote, nobody can check on your vote. It's between you and God. That's what bothers me about the mail-in balloting stuff.
Well, fortunately, the party of retributive punishment is not the victor this time. So I don't think it's going to be. I don't think anything's going to happen for people that voted for Harris. But I don't know. It could have been the other way if things went the other way. It's just funny how I mean, I don't really think so, but you know.
No, but Elon Musk, they would have destroyed Elon Musk.
Yeah.
And Joe Rogan. And like in Christian's stream, I did I did what I never do, which is buy a super chat for $47, and I asked, if Harris wins, will our channels be demonetized?
Yeah.
And yes, it was kind of meta, right? Which is like, come on, this community would be suppressed if you don't understand that. Yeah, Ed only remembers being on my channel when I only had 100 subscribers. Yeah, you and me both. And earlier he said something about watching my channel on the VHS. Yeah. But like, yeah, our community would be destroyed. I don't understand how people would not see that. Like, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz both said that there needs to be limits on the First Amendment during this election.
Yeah. I think it's good things worked out the way they did. I think it's good. It's like maybe, and this is probably one of those things we'll say, oh, it was all kind of for the best to have the clown show Biden years and all this, that because it exposed so much more of this stuff, that people are just going to think more deeply. Like, like the single issue voters, the evangelicals or whatever that didn't vote, like, because Trump wouldn't be explicitly pro-life and all that stuff. Like, that's just dumb. I mean, I understand it. Like, it, when you had a strict dichotomy of the two parties, that was a good litmus test. It was a good way to, hold Republicans at least sort of accountable within the party for like that. But it's, once anything you're reduced to one topic where you're so susceptible to being manipulated or whatever, like, and you have to see the whole thing.
Yeah, and frankly, I would love to see. I would actually love for Trip Parker to have a discussion with him, because my views in terms of abortion are very different from traditional Christian views, partially for theological reasons. So, like, when I looked at the constitutional amendment in Florida, I would have voted for it. I thought it was fine. Trip Parker is one of the guys who's very involved in this sphere. Not at all with my channel. I think he's been on my channel maybe once, or when I was streaming from Sam Titteman's channel, something like that. But smart guy, and yeah, he's got real life stuff. But back to the pro-life thing. I think, overturning Roe was kind of a dog catches the car moment, and people didn't quite understand what had happened. I wanted Roe overturned because I wanted to see the stupidity stop with. So in Estuary last night, somebody brought up, like, there are women who are dying because they're having miscarriages, and the doctors are afraid that because it's going to be called an abortion, and it's like, no, that's just a story the Democrats are telling you. That's not true, right? But until we get into a place where people understand, there's nobody who thinks if you're having a miscarriage, the doctor shouldn't actually take the when necessary, like dismember the child if that's necessary in order to safely remove the miscarriage, right? Like, nobody's making that argument. Stop fear mongering like that. But I mean, this goes back to the stuff Clara was saying. You can't have a discussion when there are people who are just distorting the conversation with disinformation and misinformation. And the way to fix that is by having honest discussions, real discussions, which includes shaming people for saying stupid things. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay. I hope people don't take this the wrong way, and I'm sure Clara's a smart woman. I think she'll understand what I'm saying here. So when she started talking about what about the violence, right? There's a reason I shifted the conversation and I said, oh no, you don't have to worry about the Democrats, because there's a subtext, a presumption, a supposition, which I understand why she has it. She lives in a world where there's a presupposition the Republicans are the violent ones, which is absolutely untrue, right?
Yeah.
We have to move back, and that's why I loved the discussion between Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. I disagree with. I'm sure, like when we're talking about policy, I would be disagreeing with them 100%. But you can have a conversation because you have the same presuppositions. You're living in the same reality.
Yep.
You're not being gaslit.
Yeah. The thing. I mean, yeah. That and I think that's the thing. Like with the whole pro-life thing. Well, it's a shame. It's a shame that it became such a like a business in the Conservative Party. You know, and that was like this. It just became another empty thing that could suck up a lot of donations and do a lot of like shuffling of papers and try to achieve some really like symbolic victories without doing much. And when Roe went away, those people were stuck really without a necessity of existing, because they basically orientated their whole thing on like it never being overthrown and just trying to, like have it be I mean, it was the same thing. It's the same thing with like all the ways that the Democratic Party traps people by pandering to their ideological identity or whatever. It was, we're the pro-life party, so you have to vote for us, and just keep. They were more like,
I'm gonna
getting rid of.
I'm gonna be a little bit more dark and cynical than you are, partially because I did go to law school and I saw how things worked. There's a reason why Republican in name only is something we all know, and Democrat in name only is not something Democrats know, because there were I know, I can't prove it, but I know for a fact that the people who were working on overturning Roe versus Wade were never serious about overturning Roe versus Wade.
Yeah. I don't.
And
I
that's
don't doubt
why it took. That's why it took so many justices to finally overturn Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was clearly one of the worst legal decisions in U.S. history. It really was. It really was, and needed to be overturned. But that's not the same thing as saying I believe abortions, like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, one of the worst justices we've had in the history of the United States, understood that Roe v. Wade was a bad decision, despite the fact she wouldn't overturn it. And yeah,
Yeah.
so there needs to be a real dialogue about
Yeah. So,
abortion.
I mean, I think, well, I mean, I think the thing is now, and this is the thing, is that really now, I think, especially like people my generation, maybe, and I think the younger ones, it's like if you, and that's what I honestly think, if you just pitch it openly, be like, hey, if you do this thing called marriage and you commit to this one woman and don't cheat on her and have kids together and you guys like pool your resources and you can have like property ownership and all this stuff, like it's a good deal. It's the best deal. It's a better deal than the other deal. Like the sexual revolution thing has run its course as far as like if not, on an individual level, like some people might have to still go through the process to get to the dead end of it, but like I think as a society, it's like it's not holding up anymore. And so,
Yeah,
and that's the thing, just encourage men to become husbands and fathers and providers, and the pro-life thing will take care of itself because people will want babies. Babies will be a good thing again. Like,
yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, like, if I were to be talking sexual politics, like, abortion would not be the center of where I would be focusing. I would be focusing more on the fact that hormonal birth control is a terrible idea.
yeah,
It really is. And for a huge number of reasons, like IUDs, like I'm fine with IUDs, hormonal birth control, oh my god, it's such a disaster. But we don't talk about that stuff. There's so much that we should and we need to be talking about that we don't have a capacity to have the types of dialogues we have, for example, in this community. And I want broader society to have these types of dialogues. But it goes back to what Mark said: starting axioms, principles, language, values, framing. All right. In order to have dialogue, we have to secure our distributed cognition against people like the ones that I was listening to melting down. People like Mika Brzezinski and Scarborough just need to go away.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think fortunately, so I guess you could say there's a lot of hope for what the 3-hour conversations over the next 4 years will entail, and hopefully, people I guess that's like, I'm a little worried just that people will be kind of like complacent about like, yay, the economy's better, and then like not actually care, like and not like because it's one thing for like Elon to go in and help Trump like tear down some of these bad institutions, but you do need to actually build things that are good that will promote societal growth again. And it's not, well, it's just sometimes the ambitious people are ambitious for the wrong reasons, and so it's that thing of, and that's the thing, it's like I know I have to do stuff that I don't feel well equipped for, I don't feel qualified, or there's not an easy path, I have to kind of figure it out for myself, and that's tough, but like I have to try, I have to do that, and that's what everybody else needs to do too, because the people who just care about being famous or rich or having their hedonistic desires fulfilled, they will go for it, and they will take up those spots, and they'll fill in those cracks as stuff opens up. So
Yeah. I hope it's obvious how this is related, but subsidiarity is really important in order to keep too much power from being centralized up and becoming tyrannical. And politics, I think politics is a lot like the referees in a basketball game. If you know the name of the referees, there's a problem. They're bad referees. And if you're paying attention to the referees, there's a problem. The same goes for politics. If you're paying attention to politics, if the president of the United States is the most important person in your life, there's something wrong there.
Yeah. Yeah. But overall, it's good. It's good. I think it's a good time to gloat a little bit, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
So you just been up all night, huh?
Kind of. I did go to bed. My dog woke me up. But yeah. Yeah, I have to get ready. I'm flying out for Garth's wedding tonight. So I have
Well,
to,
that's fun.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna see CW, his wife, and Luke Thompson again. So
That's good. I got to meet Luke in person when he came to visit here. He didn't tell his wife that we were meeting, so I was talking to him on the phone. We like met at this kind of like public park area where there's a lot of shops and stuff. And then my wife was talking to his wife, and then we leave. She's like, "Yeah, he didn't tell his wife that we were meeting up." So, which that's funny, but.
well, I mean, his wife is a busy doctor, and she's glad. I mean, I did meet her. She's glad that he's amused and having fun, but she also kind of thinks it's a huge waste of time.
Yeah. That's yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna get to work here. So
yeah, I am going to run a 5-minute timer because I need to grab water and stuff, and then if other people want to join, they can. 5 minutes. I mean, I could gloat all day, but I'm going to lose my voice and stuff if I do. And going to be very tired. I might be able to sleep on the flight. I'm taking a red eye. I'm going to take a risk and play the rest of this video. And hopefully I won't get some sort of copyright strike. We'll see.
Interview, a man who said he was going to be a dictator from day one, a man who said he was going to terminate the Constitution, a man who said he was going to use the army and he was going to use the National Guard on his political opponents. I literally could go on all.
Yes, you could go on all day saying bullshit.
Day, and yet you talk to Trump voters and they'll go, he didn't say that. Wait, now I didn't hear him.
He did not say those things. You're just a liar. You are a liar. You are a gaslighting liar.
Then you say, well, here's the quote. And then they'll go, yeah, he didn't mean that.
Yeah, he didn't mean what you're saying. You are a liar.
So there's something far more long lasting than just Donald Trump, the candidate. There is a sort of Russian embrace of disinformation, a radical devaluing of truth over the last 9 to 10 years, and a complete ignorance on civics and what the term Madisonian democracy even means, what checks and balances even means, what judicial review even means, what the rule of law even means. How do we as a nation, even post-Trump, how do we reach those Americans who apparently
stop lying to us?
Didn't go to civics class.
No, see, you're just being condescending. You're an idiot. I went to law school. I know what judicial review means. You're an effing liar.
Apparently didn't learn the basics of this Constitution and have just been overwhelmed with this information over the past 9 years.
I think this is
you are the source of the disinformation.
Big, huge part of the story that it's hard to even digest fully at this moment. But you have Elon Musk, who owns Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days, X, who is a disinformation propagandist and now has could potentially have a direct line to the Oval Office.
This on this set numerous times is that you have a state where you've got
Jen Psaki talking about disinformation.
a 6-week abortion or a 12-week abortion. I think theirs might be 12 weeks.
Yep.
But it's a state where women lost their reproductive rights, where there was a very heavy push to get women to focus on not putting in place, re-electing, putting back into the White House the person who was responsible for taking those rights away and restoring them. But that message obviously was not enough to get enough white women to vote for Vice President Harris, a fellow woman. This will be the second opportunity that white women in this country have to.
Yeah, guess what? Not everybody thinks about race and sex all the time. You sexist, misogynist, racist, horrible excuse for a. This woman supposedly went to Harvard. She is one of the dumbest people on earth. And she gives black women a bad name because I personally know many black women who are far more intelligent than she is. Not least of whom is Janet Clayton, who should have her job. Go ahead and look up Janet Clayton. Janet Clayton was canceled for not being woke enough. When Janet Clayton has her job, you won't have this bullshit. There's a competent black woman who could be doing this job. Why do people know Joy Reid's name and not Janet Clayton's name? Because we are ideologically captured. That's a black woman who's an actual journalist who could be doing this job so much better than Joanne Reid, who probably is smart enough to be the manager of a McDonald's. Maybe. Not sure I would trust her as the fry cook.
To change the way that they interact with the patriarchy. And, you know, God bless Shannon Watts, who was
The patriarchy.
tried to have that conversation.
The patriarchy.
But if people aren't receptive to it, and if people vote more, you know, party line.
People vote more policy and not being sexist, racist idiots.
Or more on race than on gender and on protecting their gender, there's really not much more that you can do but tell people what the risks are and leave it to them to do the right thing.
Progressive pocket. You're saying, wow, 65% of the vote, 66 if you round up, that's great.
Oh my God.
73%. And the math, 157,000, you know, to 103. Well, again, we got 30% of the votes still to come in, and maybe the percentages change as well. Maybe all the votes that are out are from the campus, and you know, and it juices up the number a little bit. But if you're looking at,
I'm here in Washington at a watch party. There's lots of Democrats here, and I have to say, a lot of them are starting to go home. And there's a lot of sad faces downstairs. I'm with one of those voters now. How do you feel about the election results so far?
Honestly, I'm kind of bored. This is America, so oh my gosh, the black woman didn't win.
You're bored.
You're an idiot.
Are you worried?
Worried about America?
About Trump winning?
No. It wouldn't be the first time a rich white man win, so it's okay. It's gonna be the same as it always is.
And why do you
talk about, like, this is the type of person I am sure she's incredibly privileged. Like, I have zero sympathy. She's an adult. Her attitude, her entire, like, zero sympathy.
Do you think it looks like the race is going in his direction?
Oh, because of the economy and people don't know how it works. So they just vote for how.
People don't know how it works. I can bet you she hasn't read Thomas Sowell's Basic Economics. I can guarantee you that.
Their purse feels, and that's what we're seeing today.
Do you think that Kamala will win? Do you think she's got any chance at this point?
And she hasn't had a chance since Joe Biden stepped down. Honestly, in my opinion, she didn't have a chance. But
yeah, even you could see it. So why couldn't all the pundits before today?
You know, she can put up a good fight, I guess. That's what we do.
You don't sound too optimistic.
No, I was never optimistic. In America?
In America? Go somewhere else. Just leave, please. Where would you have more optimism than in America?
Optimism is not recommended, but I mean, hey, we'll live another day.
So you think that she may not win because she's a black woman?
Oh, she definitely won't win because she's a black woman.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
These Democratic leaders are simpletons. They're servants of the donor class. So they go in there like, oh, donor, give me money, please. And I made an ad. I'm Kamala Harris. I'm full of joy. Okay, well, what did that get you? And they say, oh, Jake, you're too angry. Too angry? What? You think?
I mean, there's a shift right, and then there's a shift to Trump, and shifting.
This guy got humiliated by Hugh Hewitt. If you didn't see that clip, I highly recommend it.
To Trumpism. And, you know, I'm looking at a lot of things, especially after David talked about looking at counties and, how Trump is gaining on what he did in 2020. And to me, I'm mystified in some ways, simply because we're talking about a twice impeached, 4 times.
If you're mystified, maybe you shouldn't be one of our talking heads and intellectuals. You're the one who's not supposed to be mystified. You're supposed to be explaining things to us, yet you're an idiot.
Indicted, convicted on 34 felony counts, former president. That's one bucket. Then in another bucket, you have all of the things he's been saying on the campaign trail that gets to the decency that the woman was talking about in that last report, and how she wanted to vote for Vice President Harris because she didn't like that Madison Square Garden rally. I am mystified that despite all of that, he's gaining support compared to 2020. And it gets back to something I said earlier at some point, one of the hours.
Why are you one of our intellectuals? Why?
Who are we as a country? And we're starting to find out. And from what I'm seeing right now, I'm not sure I like it.
The thing I think is most important to remember is the people who said that
you don't like our country. Leave, please.
Was a Hitler lover weren't Democrats. They were Republicans. People who said that he was a fascist weren't Democrats. They were Republicans who worked for him. And so it's not just these elite Democrats over here, poisoning the well. You had a pretty broad consensus from Chomsky to
it's the elite idiots. That's the problem. Our institutions have been captured by people who are completely unimpressive.
the Cheneys that was very, very concerned and remains concerned. And so I think it's not just on us to stop calling names. I think it's up to him to, as Allison said, with deeds show that he's not going to be those things.
Well, having said that, what percentage is reported?
He showed he's not those things. And then you showed that you were those things.
In North Carolina? 76% reporting you're down by 7. You're in a world of trouble. You're like, yes, it matters which counties, but you're still in a world of trouble. And so much trouble that one of the organizations has already called it. Okay, now let's go to Georgia.
Yeah, by the way, Iowa has been called by CNN at least for Trump.
Iowa called for Trump, so there goes that nonsense. I'm getting.
You had, I mean, like, you were thinking about Iowa not going for Trump? What is wrong with you?
Revved up here on a significant rant. So, because Kamala Harris is not winning, and the people who thought that Kamala Harris was going to win in a landslide are totally wrong.
Democrat Congresswoman Maxine Waters, a member of the House of Representatives, for more than
oh my God, she's still alive.
30 years. Good evening. It is looking like America has gone for Trump. What's gone wrong?
Well, based on the information that we have now, it certainly does look that way. I don't know if this should be described as something gone wrong. Evidently, the majority of basically whites in this country willing to accept a dishonorable human being, someone who has been convicted of 34 felonies, someone who has been openly and brazenly racist, someone.
Why are we even listening to her? Like, what is the point? Who cares?
Who has, talked about his love for Putin and Kim Jong-un and made some minorities, but basically we're outnumbered. We're outnumbered. And absolutely elected people, that is, don't like to talk about racism.
Most unimpressive people on earth. Most unimpressive people on earth. I have no idea why anybody included her in a clip.
But the fact that whites and country back, taking it back from whom? Taking it back from too many minorities who are doing too well, who are succeeding, who are close.
Wow, she goes on forever. Yeah, she's still going for the rest of this. So I'm done. Uh, Midwit is being quite charitable. Is Midwit black woman the worst American archetype? It's up there. I mean, I'm not sure they're as bad as Karens, or white guys for Kamala Harris. Let's face it, white guys for Kamala Harris really takes the what you call it. Um, uh, I'm sorry, I got a piece of something stuck in my tongue, in my tooth. Mm. Oh, before I forget, where is Zach? There he is. Yep, young God. This woman was alive during Obama. I mean, this is mental illness. The cope is insane. In 2005, no one would ever have thought any drop black woman, a black man, would have become president of the United States. And then 3 years later, it happens, and they still use "This is America. It will never happen." Yeah. Oh, really? Does it bother you that much of picking my teeth? Sorry about that. I got something stuck in my tooth, and I just Chunk weird. That's a legendary. Anna Kasparian getting red pilled has been interesting to watch. Her conversation with Chris Williamson was interesting. Mm-hmm. When the left lost in Israel, they sat down together and sang old songs. They are a better left, yeah. Why can't they admit that Hispanics and blacks voted for the man? Because they can't. Because that would require them to live in reality. And that's not something they can do. Okay, people, I'm tired of speaking. I'm going to sit here quietly unless somebody joins. I could be doing my homework. Wow, people, this is from Jeff Bezos. Big congratulations to our 45th and now 47th president on an extraordinary political comeback and decisive victory. No nation has bigger opportunities. Wishing real Donald Trump all success in leading and uniting the America we all love. This is Jeff Bezos. Ladies and gentlemen. Wow. 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 Ah. that is yeah, yeah. See? And you were doom pilling. And you were doom pilling. Come on. Come on. I'm curious what the atmosphere will be like at Trader Joe's. Honestly, like I am probably surrounded by people who are um just literally crying right now. Uh, okay, if this gets me demonetized, it's worth it. Um, Here you go, guys. Bollywood at its best. Uh, no, the story from the Houthis seems apparently is contrived, as far as I can tell. Yeah.
The U.S. president is Donald Trump.
You mean January 20th? Look, while we only have one president at a time, the there will definitely be pressure for Hamas to negotiate a ceasefire before Trump, and might make sense for Zelensky to do the same. I don't know about the Ukraine situation. I was going to show you guys another tweet. Yoav, מה שלומך?
I'm fine, thank you. The first time I suspected that there was going to be a landslide victory is yesterday afternoon when I saw a YouTube video by the academic agent. He's smart. I don't always agree with him. He's very smart. And he, by showing some newspaper clips, showed us why he can predict the landslide victory. And the trick is that all the headlines that were, I'm talking about mainstream press headlines. Or if the headline is discussing possible Trump victory, it will be like, how will the stock exchange behave in the case of Trump victory? That's an open question.
Right.
If the press was discussing Harris' victory, they will put a yes/no question that can be answered by no. Like, will Harris be able to overcome Trump in a narrow competition? Question mark. Then you immediately can add no to that headline. So it's the on one hand, there are questions that are closed and can be answered with no, and on the other hand, the questions that are open. That's the indication that the mainstream press already knows the results, and they gave up the fight. Okay. That's a fair.
I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that theory, just from working in newspapers and knowing how headlines are written. The people who write the headlines usually are the people who know the least.
He was talking about those first level newspaper where the headline is extremely political and is tightly controlled, not a local newspaper.
I understand, but like, first of all, I would be very interested in how he found, like, if he did an exhaustive Lexis headline search, maybe. But if he's pulling his confirmation bias, like, I've listened to academic agents when Elijah says he's an anti-Semite. Okay, like, confirmation bias and anti-Semitism tend to go very hand in hand. Yeah. Before I forget, two different people are asking about Gallant. I did not even know Gallant got the boot. So.
Okay, this is what something that I wanted to speak about. The moment when I knew for sure that Trump is going to win in a landslide is 8:30 our time. That's that's 7 hours ahead. I was with a group of people, and a woman came in breathless and said, Netanyahu has fired Gallant. We have to burn down the country. Exclamation mark. And that was my first news of that political event. And then I immediately realized that the masters have changed. Because Gallant, I mean, this is my pet theory. I'm not a political expert.
Gallant is Likud. Was he? I mean, he wasn't exactly some like who.
But he was American Democrat Likud. He was controlled. I mean, that was the main reason for him getting fired. He was an American Democrat puppet Likud.
Interesting.
He was, and and Netanyahu got the head. Whatever his sources that are better than ours.
Yeah.
He knew that was the time, because if he fired him a day later, people will say, "Oh, you fired him because his political masters have gone."
Right.
But now we can say, "Well, I didn't know the polls were tight. I fired him because of sort of."
What's the excuse he gave?
Sorry?
What's the excuse he gave for firing him?
Actually, I never heard it. I heard the Gallant's resignation speech, which is a reason to get fired by itself. But by tomorrow noon, our time, Netanyahu has to submit in writing his reason to the Supreme Court, because the case was already appealed to the Supreme Court in the hope that the Supreme Court will take the control of the decision of who is going to be.
How is this a Supreme Court decision?
That is the main question. This is what all of it. It all revolves around that question.
Our good friend Zach says really insightful commentary. I don't know what is happening in Israel currently, but I suspect that the Jews are behind it. The funny thing is, I suspect the Jews aren't behind it.
So when I drove back home at 10:30 at night yesterday, then the main road was already blocked by demonstrators.
Yeah, I've seen pictures.
This will not be Likud demonstration. The Likud demonstration will not go down to the main road and block it. This will be opposition demonstrations. So the oppositions were violently demonstrating against, in favor of somebody from the Likud, which gives you a good hint of why he was fired.
I mean, I remember Gallant saying really silly things about starving people out, and it sounded to me like he was trying to sound tough and went overboard because he wasn't being serious.
No, I don't remember the incident.
It was all over the U.S. news because he said things which the left here in the United States took as genocidal.
I don't remember anything. He was always very careful. I cannot.
It was right after October 7th. It might have even been October 8th.
The only way that I can, I mean, of course, he misspoke.
Right.
It was
No food, no
miscalculation.
water, no electricity. This was all over the news in the United States.
Okay. So the way I interpret it, I mean, if you said it was right at the beginning,
Yeah.
that is before we actually got into Gaza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So that is exactly his alleged position. I was not there in the closed meetings. His alleged position was that we shouldn't go into Gaza, and we should just stay out, and we should not go into Lebanon, and we should stay out, and we should not go to Rafah, and should stay out, and should not get to the Philadelphia corridor, etc. The alleged position is that he was always holding the army back. In that case, I can understand the comments. It means that, okay, we have other means. We don't actually need to get in, but because we have other means of pressure. That was, I think, what he meant to say.
That's not how we took it here in the United States.
Yeah, but if the question was, why was he fired? And I don't know. Some people allege that there was this constant friction and differences on opinion, not on the question of no food, no water, but the question of should the army go in, should the army go further in, or should it not? I think that was the main point. But I shouldn't talk about it because I really wasn't there, and all I'm hearing are just spin upon spin. So just hearsay upon hearsay.
We're two people on the internet talking about things. I mean, last time I checked, I haven't been to the Oval Office yet.
Okay, so if I had a spin, the question is always, where did I get those spins from? This is the interesting question. This is measurable. We have a relatively new channel, a television channel, internet channel, radio channel, Channel 14, which is extremely right-wing.
Very nice. I approve.
All of the media, like in America, used to be either extreme left, moderately left, or appearing to be neutral but actually left. And Channel 14 is blatantly right-wing, religious. I mean, everybody it closes on Saturday. It's a station that doesn't broadcast on the Saturday.
Yofi.
And they hate Gallant because they want just to go in and further in and just kill them all immediately.
Yeah.
So they hated Gallant, and they spin the story that he's a puppet of the Democrats.
Yeah, the way I learn about Israeli politics is I usually look at Haaretz, and whatever they say, I believe the opposite is true.
Have you heard about the latest, greatest scandal about Haaretz?
Go ahead.
Well, the publisher attended a meeting in London. Okay. He actually said that Israel is awfully racist and genocidal, and the world should boycott Israel and starve everybody in it until they repent.
Okay.
And that's the publisher of an Israeli newspaper, and he has a lot of commercial contacts with Israeli ministries and municipalities. So municipalities buy a certain amount of printed copies every week, and then they say they're going to stop every commercial connection with him. I guess it will not stand scrutiny of the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is the main questions always. It's always, the question is always about this activist legal system.
I have to say, I don't think in the history of like the United States we've ever had a tyrannical judge like Aharon Barak. He may be one of the worst legal scholars in the history of the world.
Yes, I have relatives who are successful lawyers, and they admitted to me once that he has single-handedly destroyed contract laws in Israel, and is a grave danger to democracy, while those people are actively very much on the left and support the increase of responsibility for the Supreme Court, because that's the left for you.
Look, I mean, if you can't win democratically, and I'm sorry, but like the collapse of the left democratically, like I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked. I used to follow Israeli politics a lot more closely, like up to 2005. I used to know how many seats each party has in the Knesset, basically. And then I stopped looking for about 10 years. And in 2015, I look at the seats and I couldn't, or maybe it was 2020, I couldn't believe Avodah had like 5 seats. Avodah, like, currently has what? 2 seats in the Knesset?
There is a threshold, but they have joined other parties. So I think they are on the 7%, but they are mixed with other parties already.
They run on a joint list, yeah. So
Yes.
that's how you get past the minimum. Is okay. I'm trying to.
But I have to insert a comment here because it's a major issue. For Carl W., who asked about starvation in Gaza, if you remember Bangladesh, and if you remember Biafra, you get those pictures of kids with swollen belly, or you get from Somalia kids that look like skeleton. You don't see these pictures in Gaza. So we'll talk about starvation when it happens.
Israeli, I can't believe it. Israeli Labor Party, most MKs, 49, 1969 to 1973. Fewest MKs, 3, 2020 to 2021. They currently don't have any parties, any mandates. Like, I'm like, if you had told me 20 years ago that Avodah is not going to have any seats in Knesset, would you have believed you if somebody had told you in 20 years Avodah will have no, really?
Okay, I have something to say about it, but first, yes, I think they combined with Meretz.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a political expert, so I might be talking rubbish. Avodah in Hebrew is labor.
Yeah.
Okay? They used to be the party of the working men, the socialist working men. Now, if you examine the left or the Democrats in America, they are not the party of the working men anymore. And this is why the Democrats may soon perish. And if you look at the UK, you have the right-wing party, which is in danger of disappearing because all of their voters, as one, decided they had enough with them because they don't represent them anymore.
Yeah.
Things like that happen, and they can happen quite quickly. Now, my personal story. I was about 25 when Labor started their terminal decline.
Mm.
And of course, they realized they're in trouble, and they scrambled to regain the younger generation. So they used whatever resources they still have to form youth movements or afternoon meetings, societies, appealing to the younger generation. And I was participating in such efforts. But that was funny because that was the then boomers. I mean, the old people, the established people, the people who draw salary from the system, they're trying to get to the mind of the younger generation and control it. It was pathetic. My job was to be a spy. I was sort of employed, sent by the establishment into those groups to mingle with them and report back to the established any troublemakers. A job which I did miserably, completely. I never turned in any one of my friends. And actually, I met a nice girl and we dated for about a year. So
nice.
So they tried. I'm an old guy, so I had a long career in my time.
And you have to understand, I think in Israeli society, being like a Mossad member may in fact be like it's kind of like little kids in the United States want to be firemen. Like being a fireman, like every 5-year-old in the United States, a 5-year-old boy for 5 minutes wants to be a fireman. And I think every Israeli 5-year-old boy wants to be a Mossad agent.
By the way, as I see it, Grim Gris has his suspicions of me. He's not quite sure that I'm safe. He thinks, I mean, whether I am sent by somebody or not, he thinks that I'm trying to control his mind. And he's trying his best to resist. But of course, he cannot stand against my charm. So, yeah. Sorry, I have a phone call to answer.
Okay. Yeah, Grim is an interesting guy. Let's put it that way. I'm not sure Grim always knows the wisdom in his own stuff. How will the population changes in the electoral college affect Dems' potential in the future? Strong Democratic states are losing population. Ultimately, the fact that Florida and Texas are so big, it's actually not good for the Republicans. if instead of going to Florida and Texas, Republicans had gone to a bunch of smaller states. Smaller states that, like, in the Northeast, a bunch of small states that have that kind of would have been better. We need some sort of the way right now. Either some of the large states need to split up. I was actually very much in favor of the idea of California being split into two states. I actually don't think the Democrats would lose their advantage if we got split into two states. But yeah, I'm not sure. How was your phone call? It's good.
Okay, I think I will go down. I mean, if I have anything else to say.
Before you go, is that a picture of inside Israel? Behind
Okay,
you?
I remember. Thank you for reminding me. I put it on because of Peanuts.
Oh,
Peanuts the squirrel. Okay,
yes.
so there was a suspect case of rabies. How do you call this?
Rabies.
Rabies. So this is in Israel, in the middle of Tel Aviv. We have a park, some kind of central park, in the middle of the city. But they're not only in the park, they are over the place. They are among the houses in the streets, they are everywhere. There were a common, these are jackals. They were common to the country until the 50s, 1950s. And then with the increase of the numbers of the population and introduction of cars, they were almost driven to extinction.
Okay.
And with the rise of walk, they become a sacred animal. You cannot touch them. You cannot kill them. You cannot drive them away.
Yeah.
And by the forces of evolution, they have learned to deal with cars.
Okay.
So now they are in large numbers all over the place. And you can hear them calling to each other with the sort of a coyote calls at night, which was a distinct mark of Israeli nights in the 50s, to hear them calling at each other in the night. And people were missing it when it gone away. And now it's back and it's disturbing your sleep. And now what is the municipalities doing about it? They cannot be seen as harming these animals. So they are putting a lot of effort in vaccinating them.
Against rabies.
Yes, it's a very well-controlled population. So they're all vaccinated. I mean, of course, the leftists should know about it, yes? I mean, it's all a secret what I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
And they're very, very well fed. The municipality keeps them very well fed. And I haven't caught them doing so, but if they are vaccinated and are very well fed, and the numbers do not actually explode to infinity, then something else is going on, which I'm not going to speak about. And
they must be culling them?
No, don't say it.
Oh, yeah. So,
but anyway, yes, if you will go to visit my house any day of the year, you will see at least one of two of them crossing the street.
So in Los Angeles and actually several other cities in the United States, we've started having peacock infestations. Have you heard about this?
Peacocks.
Yes. So I don't know if you've ever been around a peacock. They are incredibly loud and annoying. The sound is horrible, and they screech all through the day and night.
Yes, we had a peacock in the neighborhood.
So what's happened is certain neighborhoods in Los Angeles, there's it's also happened in Miami. Peacocks, pet peacocks or zoo peacocks have escaped, and they're big enough that they can throw trash bins over, so they have plenty to eat because they can always eat, and they're beautiful, so everybody opposes killing them, right? And so actually Hollywood Cemetery is famous for having large numbers of peacock walking around constantly. But yeah, peacock infestations.
Do you remember the Hebrew word for turkey, for peacock?
The Hebrew word for a peacock? No, what?
Well, nowadays the word is tavas.
Yeah,
Okay?
in Farsi it's tavus. Yeah.
Yeah. So of course we got it from Farsi. Yeah, of course. You don't find it in the Bible,
Right.
but it is an old world bird.
Right.
It has a name in Farsi, so it was around all the time. So there is a bird that the Bible is describing, but
Yeah.
the Bible is refers to it in another name.
Mhm.
And we think that the word is turkey. Now, turkey nowadays refers to a parrot.
Yeah.
But if the Bible is talking about a turkey, cannot possibly refer to a parrot because it's a new word bird.
Right. Right.
Okay, so those turkey birds were brought by King Solomon from his ship going down the Eilat Harbor to India.
Mhm.
Okay, and or maybe at a port in Yemen or thereabout. So it is reasonable that they brought peacocks, turkey,
Yeah.
from let's say south of India, let's say Ceylon or.
Yeah. Yoav is saying Tuki, not Turkey. Yeah. Tuki. Yeah, Tuki.
Okay. Now those sheep, in the name in the Bible is Onia. That's the name in Hebrew for a large ship, Onia.
Yeah, for a ship, for a
ship.
boat. Yeah.
Now, those are not Hebrew originally. Those are not Hebrew words because you don't have any sister words to Onia in Hebrew.
Right.
There is no verb for Onia.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no adjective for Onia.
Yeah.
Also for Turkey.
Yeah.
There's no sister words in Hebrew for Turkey.
Yeah.
So those words might have come with the ship. Wherever the ship was going and bringing those Turkey,
Yeah.
that language that was spoken there, that they will have words that sound similar to Onia and to Turkey.
Okay.
And then you can find out where they were going. You can find out where King Solomon brought his ship from.
Okay.
And it's the theory that I heard, it was Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka. Okay.
That you can find languages in Sri Lanka that will have similar words.
Interesting.
Yeah. Apropos that, still going on Hebrew studies.
Yeah.
You know that according to the Bible, that lots of people say just fiction. You know, King Solomon was in good relationship with the people of Lebanon, the king of Tzor, and They were built and sent the ships together because the Israelis were not very good in shipping, never. So they were doing this enterprise together.
Okay.
And that king sent to Jerusalem craftsmen dealing with gold and silver.
Mm-hmm.
It's explicit said there was craftsmen from Lebanon working in Jerusalem in gold and silver.
Okay.
Explicitly. Now, we were digging Jerusalem, right under the Temple Mount.
Mm-hmm.
They found a golden earring.
Okay.
In a crack in the floor, a small, it's like half an inch, small golden earring.
Okay.
Of a type that only the people of Lebanon used to wear at the time. Very characteristic of the people of Lebanon.
Mm.
And it was there next to a furnace.
Okay.
So they actually found the workshop of that person from Lebanon that the king sent to work in Jerusalem. I mean, you cannot have more proof than that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. 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 My favorite is so when the Babylonians took the kingdom of Israel into captivity, the Bible talks about they took the Israeli king at the time to Babylon as a captive, right? Well, what they were able to find is a manifest in the yearly budget of the king of Babylon for the household costs of the king. Have you heard about this?
No, but I'm not surprised because the further you go down in history, you get to Babylon, things are quite undisputed already. But when you go down to David and Solomon, this is where this belief starts.
What? I mean, I guess, yeah. Why? Why do people think that? Like, I don't get it. I'm trying to find this, but like, why do people think that like historical accounts come out of nowhere? They just imagine that unless, yeah. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
No, it wasn't a question.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a question from Young God. Is this just one big civilization battle between Indo-European languages with Afro-Asiatic languages? I don't think that languages do battle. Cultures do compete.
Languages mate.
Yeah.
Languages mate. Yeah, I mean, when it's especially when you study Talmud and you notice, oh, there's so much Greek. There's so much Greek in Mishnah and Talmud and stuff like that. Like, it's so obvious that it's kind of amazing. Like, languages, they mesh. They really do. Even though, I mean, a Semitic language and a like Semitic languages are fundamentally different from Indo-European languages. Very, very different. But you still get loan words back and forth. I was shocked. Did you know? Have you heard of the word agape? Did you know that the Greeks took the Hebrew ahava and made agape? So, like,
No, I did not know that.
I was floored. Agape, it comes from ahava. They had philo and they had eros, but the Jewish concept of love was so different that they added agape. I had to check. I was like, am I just like, and yeah, I mean so one of my favorite websites is the etymology dictionary. Um,
To the clan of Babylon, Judaism is Hellenized Judaism.
yeah. I thought I had checked on online. Etymology agape. Hebrew. I don't know why I thought agape comes from ahava. Right now, I'm not finding. If I'm wrong, please forgive me. But I thought I had checked before. I don't like saying things that I haven't checked on.
Well, we're just two people talking on the internet.
This is true. This is true. Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, I don't like making up things which later I find out aren't true. I thought I had checked, but my Google isn't giving me that same whatchamacallit. So
But it always happens to me when I'm looking for a source of a word. Every time I look for it, I get a different answer. Because there are lots of theories, and sometimes it will display one theory, and then it will display another theory.
Yeah. One of these days, we'll be able to make a deterministic model of the entire universe, and there we go. Yes, I don't believe in determinism. Yeah. That was my little joke.
Yeah, but the error was in the word we. The thing that will understand the universe will not be we.
AI?
I don't believe in an I, but it will definitely not something, not us, not in this generation.
Yeah, we'll see. Anything is possible, Yoav. Don't you believe in miracles?
I don't need, Israel is the land when you plan for miracles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's true.
There's a relationship between the Hellenistic world and the Jews. It starts from the beginning, from the meeting with the Philistines. And it just goes on and on and on continuously. It cannot be any other way. Like you all that this Hellenistic or Greek-speaking Jews in Caesarea, and you have the devout Jews in Jerusalem. Like you have the secular Jews in Tel Aviv and and the religious people in Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, you had the secular people even before Caesarea was built.
Look, the Greek alphabet comes from the Phoenician alphabet. All Greek writing, if it was written in Greek, came after there was an intellectual, technological exchange of writing from the Phoenicians with the Greek.
Okay, talking about theories that I once read, I cannot find anymore. There was this book I read as a boy, and he said, okay, if there is this connection and it's the same alphabet, then let's take the letter of the Greek alphabet and put them together in this stream and read them like in Hebrew. What will it say? And it will say, אלפבתך גם על דלתך פסילונים, זאת החטאה.
My Hebrew is not good enough to know.
Okay, slowly. Alpha, teach.
Yeah.
Betcha, your house. Gam, also, על דלתך, your door. הפסילונים, the idols, זאת, are, החטאה, the sin. So teach your house and write it on your door.
Right.
That the idols are the sin. Just taking the letters of the Greek alphabet and putting them together and reading them as Hebrew.
Interesting. I wish I knew enough Greek to verify that.
No, that's easy. Everybody knows that just alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, theta.
Well, yeah.
Slowly. Alpha, beta, gamma, alpha,
beta,
gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, theta.
Okay. Yes. No, I understand what you mean. Yes. Zeta, theta. Yeah. 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 I mean, it sounds cute, but it sounds cute. The same way as Mitzrayim, like it sounds cute to say Mitzrayim is Lashon Metzarim, right? That it's a land that has conditions, especially around the Nile. But the word mass in ancient Greek, ancient. I'm getting tired. Egyptian probably had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, but one thing is doing drash on one word or a couple of words. I just joined together about 8 words together to a sentence in the right order. The chances for that are quite low.
Right, but when you're taking from one language to another, I mean, beta, betcha, come on.
Yeah, okay. It's one book that I read as a boy and never found the book again.
You've completely ruined your credibility on the internet. Nobody's going to believe you ever again.
Definitely not green trees. Apropos predictions. One of your podcasts or discussions, there was a referral to some Orthodox rabbis in the US. I don't remember the name, but Google did. And immediately he served me a lecture by one rabbi, never heard of him before, an expert on the Zohar.
Okay.
And he was proving to his audience, he was sitting in a synagogue in front of an audience, I don't know how many people, the camera didn't show it. Okay. He was proving to them that the killing of Nasrallah in Beirut, exactly 40 days ago, was predicted in great details in the Zohar.
Okay.
And then he continued from there that he says, if you go on that line, then counting 70 days After that, it is exactly a month from now. It will be the 6th of December. Then, according to the Zohar, I'm quoting the rabbi. Yes, not my theory. Don't kill me.
I won't kill you.
You cannot.
Baruch
So
Hu.
exactly a month from now,
Yeah.
there will be an earthquake in Jerusalem, and a great cave will open, and
Okay.
a great bird will come out of that cave,
Yeah.
and following sequence of event will bring the Messiah. So we have only to wait exactly 1 month from now.
Well, I mean, if it happens, that will be nice. I am not about to bet any money that's going to happen.
No point.
I don't know who this rabbi is. There's one particular rabbi whose name I forget, who does this type of stuff a lot, including his prediction that Trump was going to win 2020 and stuff like that.
He has a Russian name. He's coming from Russia originally.
Yeah, Kesselman?
Yeah.
No, that's not who I was thinking of. I'm not a fan of these types of rabbis.
Well, but it's through you that Google served me the link. So you
It's all my fault.
Yeah, but anyway, it was good fun.
Yeah. Have you actually listened to any of the Yanuka?
No. But I did read your book, The Lonely Man of Faith. It's a masterpiece.
Oh, yeah. No, Rav Soloveitchik was he's complete master. Did you read Halachic Man or just Lonely Man of Faith?
No, just Lonely Man of Faith.
I highly recommend reading Halachic Man. Halachic Man is his magnum opus. It is so Orthodox Judaism. There's Orthodox Judaism, and then there's ultra Orthodox Judaism. More in the United States, but even in Israel, there's modern Orthodox and ultra Orthodox. Halachic Man is considered the foundational text of modern Orthodox Judaism. And it was originally written in modern Hebrew, Ish HaHalacha, in 46, I want to say, or maybe even 44. Yeah.
Okay, the question is still open, but is the bird a turkey? A turkey nowadays is a parrot.
Nowadays, yeah. When you say tuki, you're talking about a parrot.
Now there is another bird, close relative of the parrot. It's called drara in Hebrew. It's kind of a smaller green and yellow parrot, and it's the same story. Somebody bought a couple of them to Israel some years ago, and now the country is full of them. Just an awful pest. They're everywhere. They're parrots. They're making lots of noise. They're nesting in their dozens on every tree, but they're beautiful.
It's useful to be beautiful. It's very useful.
Okay, now I'm not talking about people now. I'm going to talk about birds.
Okay.
There was this bird that immigrated to Israel from India. It didn't used to exist when I was a boy. It came when I was already adult, and it was very aggressive, and it started pushing out and killing all the native birds. and really become the most common bird in Tel Aviv. Extremely aggressive and extremely clever. I had a fight with a couple of them. They were decided to nest inside a vent leading into my bathroom. And I really had a battle of wits with them. I was trying to smoke them out, so it was a place hard to reach. So I was trying to smoke them out, and they brought out little stones, and they clogged the entrance from which I was trying to smoke them. They shut it up with small stones.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really fighting an intelligent agent. And it's really just brute force because I'm so much bigger than them and I have tools that I managed to drive them away. But the little birds, the smaller birds, sparrows in Israel, had a very rough time of it. Some of them disappeared and some of them were really reduced much in numbers. Again, I'm talking about birds now, not people, birds. So the little sparrows become more aggressive and more clever, and they started to fight back. Smaller birds against the bigger birds. And I saw in front of my window a battle. The small sparrows was fighting the bigger birds over a nesting place. They usually fight over a nesting place, which means my vent, and I don't want any one of them there. And so the female was distracting, the female sparrow was distracting the bigger intruders, sort of pretending to fight them. And the male was diving from above very fast like a hawk and was hitting with his little talons the head of one of the bigger birds, and it gave him such a shock that they ran away.
Wow.
And it was really like watching a dogfight in the First World War.
I believe it.
And I saw the little birds sort of holding the grounds and fighting the bullies. Amazing lesson. I'm talking about birds, yes?
I hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's crazy. Animals, I mean, yeah, animals can be very surprising. I haven't slept last night and I am crashing. Yeah. My mind is not as sharp as it was. It was fun. We will have to gloat more later. If anybody has clips of people melting down, Schadenfreude is one of my favorite sins. Send me memes, please. And I look forward to people in our little sphere genuinely discussing this this political. I want us to be able to talk about politics a normal amount. I know a lot of people around here are fleeing from politics. I want us to be able to talk about politics a normal amount. And I seriously mean it when I say that politics should be less contentious. Politics should bring people together more than religion. Because the point of politics is so that people from different religions can live together. Good night, people.